Hi, it's Marlene from the Sharing Light. How are you today? So there has been a lot of stuff happening in the news, on social media with the Karens and the issues happening with people. And there's so much going on with all of the civil unrest and with illnesses, obviously. And our world is just freaking out. And it's unsettling, amusing, depending on where you're coming from. There's just a lot happening. And while I was looking at the things that were happening on the news and stuff last night, yesterday I had done a reading for myself and an extra card had come out. I'm like, oh, okay, this must be an additional message for me. Well, I read the card and it didn't quite resonate with me yesterday, but it resonates for today, for all of us, for what's happening. And I'd like to read this card to you because this was, I think once you hear it, I think it will really resonate with a lot of you. So the card itself says Karmic Relationships. So this is the card that came up yesterday. Beautiful, beautiful card. And it says Orion energy, polarity, soul growth, and conflict. So I'm not going to read about the other stuff, but the part where it really applies to everything happening right now and to all of us. All right. Polarity causes conflict and highlights separation. However, because of this, conflict can also result in unity and growth. So out of conflict can come unity and growth. We can grow from conflict. Too many misunderstandings are caused when we do not open our heart and mind and see things from a different point of view. When you look at things from your own point of view constantly and you're not seeing it from another way, from another side, it's very one-sided and you're not able to grow from it. You're just going to stay in your place and never grow and move. So when we go into reactive second-guessing mode, instead of gathering the courage to open our heart, we should admit that we may have reacted because of our own woundings and then find mutual ground. So if you react to something, it hurt your feelings. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. We honor that. We know that your feelings were hurt. That's okay. But don't react on those hurt feelings. Try to understand. Realize that you're reacting because of what you bring to your table, not what someone else brings to their table. Like, find a common ground where both of you can understand or agree. Whether if it's a one-to-one confrontation. We are all innocent children looking to be seen, to be understood, and to be cherished. It's much harder to grow closer through conflict than it is to grow further apart. I'll say that again. It is much harder to grow closer through conflict than it is to grow further apart. And yet, that's the invitation of conflict. It's easy to react and take things personally. It's more challenging to see the innocence of all involved and find a way to grow closer through the conflict. It's through relationships that we grow the most. How can you soften your heart and drop your defenses enough to see things from a different point of view? How can you see the innocence of all involved? How can you learn to see the similarities rather than the differences? I love how it says to see the innocence of others, because I'm not a hateful person. You're not a hateful person. But there might be things that you do not like or feel very strongly about, and that's okay. But we need to not judge others for them feeling that way as well. And we also need to, like what it says, view others from a place of innocence. They're not trying to hurt you. They are not trying to be mean or, they're not trying to do that. They're just trying to get their point across. They just want to be heard. We all just want to be heard. And we also need to listen. As much as we want to be heard, we need to notice that we also need to listen. The more of us that listen to each other, that means that you're being heard by someone else because they're stopping to listen to you and you're stopping to listen to them. You're being heard. And that is creating a beautiful, positive, loving relationship because you're listening. And it starts at home. How can we do this? How can we change the world by doing this? It starts at home. We have to start it at home. I'm guilty of it as well. Somebody will say something or do something in my house, and I'll immediately shut down, or I'll immediately get offended or upset for whatever reason. And I know that I'm not trying to be mean or nasty. I realize that it comes out that way. I'm not trying to be. It's just that's how it's coming out. I am coming from a place of innocence, but it's coming out in a different way. And then once it comes out in a different way, it's almost hard to stop that, to shut that off. It's hard to apologize. It's hard to admit you're wrong. But that all starts at home. Like the person that I would have gotten into an issue with at home, I know they're not out to attack me. They're not trying to hurt me. I need to view them from their place of innocence, where they're coming from. And if then you just sit down and have a conversation about it where I listen and you listen, and then we just kind of work it out. So that was a big message that I felt needed to come out today. Apparently my cards knew to have it come out yesterday for today, so that it would kind of just be like percolating, because it's not that I was thinking about any of the cards. I mean, I drew like 6 cards yesterday. It was 5 for my reading, and then a 6th one came out with it. And I haven't even really thought of the other ones that I drew. It's just this one, for some reason, kept sticking in my head. And I feel like it's to kind of help people to start thinking about our world, our interactions differently. Right now, there's so much civil unrest happening, and if we all just loved each other, if we all just love each other, come from a place of a loving existence. Can you imagine how different the world would be if we all just gave each other a hug, whether real or virtual? But I mean, if we all just shared a moment with somebody in our lives, every single person did that, that would ripple throughout the entire planet and change the world. Love definitely can change the world. So, karmic relationships, dude. Look at people from a place of innocence. See you tomorrow. Love you. Bye.